to BizChicks TV. We're here to help you take the hassle out of your hustle so you can build a profitable business that's fun to run. Here are your hosts.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to BizChicks TV. Our show today is Profits in Daily with Coach Caren Fern, all the way from Toronto, Canada. I'm Carolina from BizChicks, and we just want to welcome you watching live and on the replay. And hey, we are in the part 2 of an exciting series with Coach Caren. So I'm going to let her introduce it and take us away. Coach, tell us more.
Okay, so we did part 1 last week, and we covered what it is you know, what you must learn, and how much money you want in your business, how much money you want to make. Like, get that beginner number down. Don't feel ashamed. Don't apologize for it. Just know the number, small or large, put it down, and then move on, okay? Because we're in business to make money. Let's look at that. And today we're going to cover the connections, right? How to connect the dots.
Okay.
What are your exact next steps? What kind of software are you using? Do you want to keep it? Do you want to let it go? Do you want to learn about it? Like, you need to know these things. And these are the boring behind the scenes where nobody want to talk about and don't want to do. Or not because they don't want to do it, but they feel like they're wasting time. Because I know there was a period in my life where I feel like I was wasting time on learning certain things. When I started making planning trips as a really full-blown business, I remember having to learn to use the slicer, and I didn't know how. I cut my hand. I was like, I better go back to a knife. And, you know, I wanted to go back to a knife, but the person who had introduced me to the slicer, they're like, Caren, it's going to change your life. And I was like, what is she talking about? It has slowed me down. And sometimes, most times, you have to slow down to get to where you want to be. And she wasn't lying. And I said to her, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I remember having to call my retailers and say, get to my retailers and say, I am not going to be able to produce for this week. And everybody I thought was going to stop buying from me. I'm not going to lie, because I was a teenager, right? And I didn't know if I can keep these people, you know, wanting to use me and support my business. And when the first person said, could it be 4 days? And I said, I will try. And then the second person said, I'm good for a week. We'll make it work. You'll be back, right? And could you check in with us? And we did. I think by the Thursday, I checked in and say Monday for sure, because I was getting the hang of it, but I was still not, I didn't have this rhythm that I wanted, that I had before. And I spent a lot of time that week. I felt like I wasted time. I felt like, what was the point? I've got other, you know, items that I sell that sell well. What was the point? But this specific part of the business bringing more than 50% of profit. And so I didn't, and I had people line up that give me the raw material as well. So I start thinking about them, and they depend on me every week. I buy gallons of oil. I buy you know, bunches and bunches of planting. There's people who set aside stuff for me. And I'll tell you, that 5 a.m. that I talked about last week worked so much in my favor, because when I got into this business, I needed to be anywhere from 3 to 4 in the morning to get the best of the best. And I would be there present. I had a group of guy friends that would just carry me, and I'll be there present and getting my stuff. So the thing that you're learning really seeps itself over to the next thing you're going to do. I promise you, if not everything, parts of it, you'll see the results, not right away, but later. And I remember the first set that I did and literally carried to the store, I wanted to see. And 2 people weren't there, but one of the guys said, he says, I think you got a better product. What do you do? And I was explaining what happened. He says, you know, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. You didn't lose anything. I think, you think the week was lost. It wasn't lost. You've gained so much. You're going to pay in tenfold. And he wasn't lying, because it was shortly after I got a big client that took me out of the water. See, God's always preparing you, and you don't even know you're getting prepared behind the scenes.
Okay. Yes, he's opening doors. And
And when he opened the door to this big order, I remember saying to my sister, I don't know if I could do it, because here's somebody who's is placing an order basically for 1,400 bags of chips every week. And I said, for how long? And he said, for as long as you keep bringing them. Because
Okay.
in my head, I was like, well, maybe he just want to do a big order. Now, I tell you, lots of times by Thursday, I then noticed that we don't have anymore. Like, could we get a new batch? Like, we can't wait for the next week. So we started off at 200 per day, and then it got increased to about 300 packs a day. I mean, I was supplying him. I still had other people that I was supplying, and I didn't want to lose those clientele because life has taught me you need to have quite a few people in the pipeline and not depend on just one person, because you just never know in this life. And I'm glad I've always done that. So those behind the scene things, like how do you connect the dots? So now I had to get and curate people to get me the bags on time, to get me sealers on time, like all the different things. That was my business. But was the cost, like, it feels good, everything feels great. But what I realized is I had to go and negotiate my oil prices. I had to go and negotiate my planting prices, because now that I've got so much to do, that's adding up quickly, and I'm now making the rounds. The good thing about knowing your numbers, guys, and please, if you don't, remember I just told you, you need to know how much money you want to make. But the next thing is follow right behind that, cost. You need to know how much things cost. You need to write it down. You need to type it up. You need to understand what is the cost to run your business. And it's going to scare the heck out of you, because wherever you started, when you're in this turnover like I was, it's hundreds and thousands of dollars. You feel like it's coming, like it's dripping out of your hands. Even if you know you're going to make it back, it still felt so overwhelming initially. And once I put it on paper, that's why I love bookkeeping and accounting, that sort of thing. The minute I put it on a spreadsheet, you guys would see, before it was in a book, the minute I put it on paper, it started to make sense. The story unfolds. You invest this much, this will happen. But if you double the investment, this is what's going to happen. And if you get the people to support the double investment, this is what's going to happen. You're not alone in this game. Start counting the people that you can lean on. Allow them to be of help. Then eventually you can pay them. And the minute I was able to see the story, and again, talking to myself, talking through this whole processes, the surface makes sense. The cost makes sense. The production rate and time makes sense. Customer service was one of the big leading causes, because I will show up and go talk to people. I got a sales rep. My sister was my sales rep. This is where you have to know that this part I had to take away for myself, because she needed to be out there bringing in sales while I do production. I needed friends to lean on and let them know this would be a part-time gig. I mean, people were bringing me people to help, because this was you're going to be paid. You're going to be paid at the end of the week. I also tell my people, like, I am not supplying for you to hold on to this. If your business can't sell as much, when I got to that point, and you can't pay when we bring the product, we can't bring it to you. Like, we're not waiting to be paid. And everybody was like, yes, Caren, that makes sense. Like, we were sold out a lot. So when you got a good product, you're confident about your product, because you do all this behind the scene stuff that I'm talking about. And guys, you got to do it. There's no shortcut to it. Whatever it is, if you're making a dress, and you're learning how, at the moment, you're learning how. You give yourself the time. When you understand the kind of pockets you want to put, and the kind of, I don't know, elastic or the kind of hems you want to do, I want you to write it down. This A-line dress with petticoat waist, whatever is the style you're doing, with a puff sleeves, takes this amount of time to cut it.
Okay.
Fabric, how many thread, labor time to make it, how much I'm going to sell it for, the timeline of the sale that I'm supposed to sell it. And if I want to do a sale, when would I bridge that gap? Those are boring stuff, but so important. Important. So the cost to make the dress, I don't know, $25, let's say, and the labor cost was $15, or depending on the hourly rate that you'd pay somebody, you added to that the cost of all the other little things in there. And now I know to make this dress is $65, not $25 anymore, because I have the whole story. So it's $65 to make the dress. So I have to sell the dress for $100 and something. Would people buy the dress from me? Maybe you have to make 2 of those dresses and have your friends wear it, see if people like it, see if people buy. Those testers is heart-wrenching for a small business owner, but let me tell you, they're so important. They're so important, because when you're good, when you get to and you understand how much you have to charge, people's going to doubt you and they're going to say to you, you can't sell for that number. But because you know your costs and you've seen the whole story, you're able to stand your ground. You're not wavering and wondering and asking everybody, how much should I charge? No. And guys, I was running this business, and then I had a child at 21, and when I got my son, and I was able to take all that time off because I listened to the story, plan around the story, get the story worker, meaning the people to fill those holes. So that when I come back to the marketplace, when I come back to business, everybody keep asking, you're going to come back to business? Like, I don't know if you know it, but business never really stopped. But you guys didn't notice. It's okay. The people didn't notice certain things because a lot of things were still running in the background. And then talking about adding other element, I recognize once I had my son, there was things I was doing for a baby that other mothers need. And that became part of my product line. You know, I started making things that support other mothers because I met people in the hospital. I'm talking to other mothers and they're asking what I'm doing with my child and how am I able to do what I'm doing. And I'm able to say, well, this is what I'm doing. They're like, we'd like to get some of that natural stuff because the stuff in the store is mixed with all kind of stuff. I'm like, I can give you that. I can produce that. Here's the price, because I tell my story from the cost, the service, everything. I'm able to say this pack of things to make the porridge is X amount of dollars. You can tell me I can go to the store and get it for $1. I'm going to still sell it for $5. And I'm telling you, every single day it is sold out. I had to end up getting a mill to do it. I was milling the same plantain. I started making plantain flour. And the same person that helped me with a slicer, my son godmother, she says, Caren, I'm going to find you a miller because you don't have to do this on your own. I was doing it on my own. I was doing everything and milling it on my own. And she says, you're doing a lot. I'm going to find you a miller. I said, it's going to be a very small quantity. She says, you're going to start where you start. Like you start everything. And I got a miller. You know, I could have got a miller as a small business owner. So don't be fooled by thinking you can't. And when the people come in place, they're going to cost you less. Like when I was doing pajamas, you know, I was doing all the sewing and everything. And then a friend of mine helped me find a factory that would do it at cost right here in Canada. And there's just women who is learning to sew, and the ones who've graduated now they could actually sew, and it costs me less if I cut the fabric and just take the bulk in and then they would sew it. Here's the kicker. Here's what happened. I had to do samples. I had to correct the samples. I had to get it right. So if you look at our cost, it might feel a lot, but the background is I can order, 24 pajamas and I don't have to make it, and I can send out the order. So when you're looking at costs, you got to look so you can tell the story to move the business to the next place.
Okay.
You got to look at that. You got to see the story and don't argue with the story because the numbers never lie. If it's telling you that that's not what you could do, your ego going to have to be removed again. I love making skirts, if that was what you were making. But the price I got to sell for, if I'm okay to only sell 100 skirts a year, I will sell skirts at the price. But if I want to sell 1,000 skirts, but the people wouldn't support that, and I had another business, what am I doing? Like, I need to let the skirt go. The skirt is my ego. I will wear the skirt. I will love the skirt. I won't worry about it. I would let that product go. But maybe I still love it. I want to keep it. How do I make it make sense? Now you'll find a miller, or in my case, the person who would be sewing it for you, that might be a reduced cost to you because they can work faster than you because that's all they do.
Yes.
Now you can still sell the skirt, and all of a sudden the skirt don't have to be $200. It could be $125. Because it's making sense cost-wise. It's making sense with the service you're producing. The product is still great. And your customer service is top-notch because it's built into the skirt so you can hire somebody to talk to people with all the problems. And that's how you're moving your company forward.
Gotcha.
You're not going to get an answer from nobody outside. You understand because you've learned. And the things you need to learn, if you don't know, you go learn that. That's a class on its own, how to price. I used to offer that in person, like teaching people how to price something. They'll bring it to the class or a workshop sometimes, and we just go through everything that they do and why they're holding on to the item. Maybe that's not what they're supposed to do in business. Sometimes people come to the workshop and they left knowing that they're not going to sew pans anymore, or they're not going to bake cakes anymore. But they didn't have anybody to have this out with before they decide to bake cakes.
Wow.
Because they can't sell a cake for $8 and make money. I remember telling this one lady, I'm like, the cake has to be $65. The kind of cake you're making, the cheapest cake you can sell is $65 with what you want to put inside and the layers you want to do. But if you want to sell a cheap cake, you can't do this because the cost won't support it, which means you won't be paid. And that's hard to hear.
It is, because we love the creative part.
Yes. So she didn't want to hear that. But at the end of the class, she was happy. She went away with a different idea to still be in cakes, but decide how we can do it differently, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Still do cakes, but what she wanted, the ego and the pridefulness had to walk away and leave the profitability in place and still use her creativity. It doesn't.
Okay. So we talked about this last part 1, control your ego.
Let that go. So you can get the people build businesses, great businesses, do great things when they're not fussing about that. And it could be a boring thing. It could be a boring thing. My principal at my school built a really good business around high schoolers. Like, she built a thriving business. And when I caught on, was her second year. I was like, what? She was, this is her business. She came and we did a lot of the handwork on towels, and she did pot holders, and the student we were taking sewing classes. So the good people like me who really did excellent work, she just piggy off of our backs and she sold them, and she didn't pay us much money. When I found out, I wasn't letting it go. Other people were like, Caren, just let it go. I'm not letting it go. I went to the store, one of our best stores at the time, and I saw my handiwork in the store, and I saw the price for the stuff. So I went back to her. I said, why are you paying me $2 an hour? And she said, well, Caren, it's my material. I said, I agree with you. I will not be sewing anymore. This is a class I loved, but I don't have to take it to get my credit. So I left the class.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she really taught me how to hand embroidery. She taught me how to do macrame. She taught me how to build sandals. Like, these were skills that she gifted me. So in a sense, it was an exchange, but the promise was $5 an hour, and she moved it to $2. So it was the discrepancy that I had a problem with.
Well, yes, it was the change.
You could have talked to me. And I told her, I said, you could have spoken to us, but what you did is decided we're kids and you can take advantage. And that's not nice. And so I quit the class, but neither here nor there. You can decide. I'm saying this to you, I was a child and I decided. I was a teenager and I decided. But that's also because I had learned to make money on my own before. So I had understood my value. So sometimes if you're in a place where you don't understand your value, you give it up easily. And you don't know how to have the conversation around it.
And you don't know what to do with it.
Yes.
Once you take control of your gifts and your talents.
Yes.
Because they seem to have the whole structure together, and you haven't built a structure.
Right.
So do you trust yourself to be able to do that? And so a lot of times we need to pump up our ego.
Yes, you do need to. You need to at that point. This is not a takeaway. This is the one where I got it. I know what I'm doing, right? Excuse me. And that leads us right into 2, where we talk about the exact steps. The exact steps is the boring part. It's the builder, it's the founder, it's behind the scenes. You might know the exact step. Let me take that back. You might think you don't know the exact steps, but you do. You're not giving yourself enough credit. When I started my first business, I know to peel the orange, I know to separate them, and I know to get paid. Those were my steps. I knew how to pick up bottles from the road, from my aunt's party, and go and sell the bottles. That's like the first business, if I really think about it, that I did. And I knew when I got there and I feel the rim of the bottle to recycle it, if it didn't have a crack, you got 25 cents. And then the ones with a crack, they'll say, just put it in the corner. And they'll say, well, we don't buy those. So I wait till everybody went away. And I go back to the guy and I said, so what do you do with them? He goes, oh, we just crush them and recycle them. I said, but if we don't bring them, how are you going to crush them?
Mm-hmm.
So it can't be for nothing. He goes, well, we can give you 10 cents for those. Oh, I collect all my bottles and count them up quickly and get my 10 cents. And I said to the guy, so you would give us money? He goes, yeah, but nobody ever asked. So we just get them for free.
See, so it's
you
about
but you
having a conversation, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So you know every step of the way. So now when I took the bottles in, I have a bag with the bottles without any crack and the bags with the bottle with a crack. And I get to the counter and I said, these are the 25 cents bottles and these are the 10 cents bottles. And when it wasn't him and the lady, she says, we don't do that. I said, oh, yes, you do. And if you don't want it, I'll go to the other guy because I'm not giving you my bottles. 25 and 10 cents. And I get paid every time.
And think about it. If you had the kids bring you the bottles for 2 cents because they're cracked, and you're getting 10 cents. Amazing, right?
Amazing. You got to speak up.
You had a conversation.
Have the conversation. Have the conversation. That's the only way you're going to move your business forward. If you need to cry, go cry. Take a bath, cry. Go lie down for 5 minutes. Go take a half day off work. Do what you need to do, but get it back and do what you got to do. And write those steps down. Whatever are those steps, write them down. And if you're feeling bad, you can write down the feeling bad steps and how you're going to walk yourself out of feeling bad. Maybe that's the practice you need to learn to write steps. How to get out of something. You got to have your steps in place because it's going to help you. It's going to help you in the next phase where he says, what kind of software am I using? Do I like it? Do I want to keep it? Go see why you like it. Go see why you don't like it, depending on where you're landing. And then go follow the step. Again, I love an everyday notebook. You know, I love them because I write a lot of thoughts in there, a lot of things in there. Some things are got steps in there. Sometimes it's just my thoughts. Or I'm like, I'm feeling really sad today because why am I feeling this way? I had this whole monologue going on and my iPad I was writing like, why am I resisting this change, the Pacific thing? Why am I afraid of it? Oh, I'm not afraid. I'm afraid of the change that is going to cause me. Is it going to be painful? I decide it's painful, but is it really painful? If I do it, would I feel pain? Why am I thinking it's pain? Like, where is it drawing from? What were my thoughts around it? But I'm writing all this down for myself. And I'm like, so why am I doing it? What is the resistance? I'm resisting the change because it's a change of events that's going to happen that I don't want to be involved in. But why? I don't want to be involved in it because I like where I am right now. But is it going to grow me? Yes, Caren, it will grow you. Yes, Caren, you're hiding. I literally use my name. Yes, you're hiding from this thing because you feel you did enough already. Well, who says I did enough already? Well, you did. And you don't want to do this other part. But I go down the list, I will drag me out with it. And then I'll go do the thing. And I probably would be annoyed doing the thing. I had an empty bin to clean out to see the kind of, I got some product, some clothes, some fabric that I want to sew for myself. I was like, why am I not emptying the bin? Because you don't want to empty the bin. And I emptied the whole bin. I did some videos on it. I took pictures. I start feeling happy by the time I get to the end of the bin and realizing what I could do with the fabric and how I'm going to wear it in the summer. Because Caren, remember, if you do it now and it got sewn by February or March, you're going to have your summer outfit. Like your summer line is going to be finished. Like you're going to be happy in the summer because you're going to be annoyed in the summer that you didn't finish sewing what you could have done because nothing is stopping you. You can watch TV and sew if you wanted to. Like this full discussion. I was so happy. I made the list. I written it out. The dates. I didn't put the dates yet. But I'm good to go. I'm going to sew something this very week. And life is still happening all around me. But because I had it out with Caren. Because I was hiding. I was finding excuses. I was letting the valley of some things that's happening hold me in the valley. The minute I start climbing out that Pacific Valley, because we have so many of them, the minute I start climbing out of that Pacific Valley, I start seeing the light, emptying the bin, moving around my office, deciding what I want it to look like, where I want things to be. Why do I want to change things around? Not for change's sake, but because I need it. I start feeling lighter. I feel like this year could be better. I stopped with where I was going. And that's what we need in our businesses. That's what we need to move forward. So we're not stuck with the software. We're not stuck with, I can't do this because. Get yourself out of that frame and get into a new frame. We talk about our future selves a lot. People talk about it at the beginning of the year. Go find out what your future self want, how you want to see the business run. Do you want to be in that business full time? Do you want to be in there part time? Do you eventually want to get a manager? How would he or she able to manage if there was no system, no operating system? Because no matter what's going on, you are the person who created this, and you got to figure out some things before you give it over to technology. You have to.
Well, technology can't do anything without you. You have the idea, you have the creativity. It's just a tool to help you get things done quicker. It's sort of like I don't know, like having a blender instead of mixing everything by hand. You know what I'm saying? But the blender isn't going to do anything.
No.
Just sitting there. You have to turn it on, put the stuff in, know what you want to put in it.
I went to clean for a lady once because none of the girls were available. It was an urgent clean. And she opened the closet and we were just dying with laugh. She says, every gadget that ever advertised, I've bought it. The house is still dirty. She just cracked me up. We just laughed about it. She's like, obviously, I just need people to come in and clean because I don't want to do it. I'm like, exactly. You call people in.
And that's okay.
That's okay. That's okay. So you need to understand. You need to understand how to, no matter how many times you bail and whatever you do, it's like the people who's really worried about, or I hear them talking in groups, I'm like, if you're a good social media manager, people will hire you. But you can't just give them what they can go pick up themselves. You can't just put in ChatGPT and hand it over to the okay. No, you got to have some sense there because she or he going to know. Like, I can't just pick up stuff and give people for bookkeeping. No, I know bookkeeping. Like, you have to actually learn it. Bookkeeping, it's not what people say, oh, you just enter in things and enter them out. Bookkeeping, good. If you're doing good bookkeeping, it's a 2-year program. It is not a 1-year program. Yes, just to enter in and out, but the really nitty gritty of bookkeeping, 2 years. That's accounting. It's 4 years. People, there's work you do behind. A bookkeeper is learning all the fundamentals of an accountant. Everything we have to learn to be able to. And I did accounting before, so I can tell you, you're doing everything. It's just that you're doing the day-to-day. You like the nitty-gritty. You like to catch. Accountant is do the big picture. A bookkeeper see and knows and see when it's going crazy and tell you before you send it to the accountant. Basically, she's going to find and catch things. Not like the accountant can't. But most time, it's like the paralegal and the lawyer. The paralegal does all that work that sometimes the lawyers miss because they're busy doing other things, not because they're negligent or anything, So we got to know this kind of stuff. So you run your business, guys. Again, when you run your business, you want to connect the dots. You want to understand costs, how your service works, what are your product, how it works, or if it's both. And you want to understand how you serve customer service wise. And you want to create this roadmap that shows you, that tells that story so that whether you stay or eventually somebody helps, they can be in that same storyline. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. That things happen. That's your system. That's your operating system. This is how Narca Cleaning Services operate. This is how, the Multi-Passionate Academy operates. This is how Coach Caren operates. This is how the coaches under her operates, because this is what we believe in. This is what we're doing. You need to know those things. Even my home, I now start I'm building out a home book, which means I talk about maintenance and how you look after your home, the economics of it. I love that sort of stuff. So I'm just building out something for my kids and eventually probably sell it. I don't know, but I'm working on it. It's a project. It's a pet project of mine. There's no rush in it, but hopefully I finish it at the end of the year, if not before, because there's little tiny things that people just don't know to do or didn't know that they can call in somebody to do because it seems so minute. But there's people you can call to get it done. And you know, that's the other part. I was telling somebody in the group, do not call a plumber if you don't understand plumbing. You need to. I don't care who you are. You need to understand. Go on YouTube and find out. So when the plumber comes and he's telling you that you need to change that filter that doesn't need change, you say to him, no way, buddy. In my car, I'm not a mechanic, but I can tell you, I just put on the exhaust. I paid $3 something. It don't need a new exhaust. The brake pad, it got, 6 more months on it. Like, you need to know. So you can have the conversation, and then it's a different service that you receive versus, I don't know. You need to know. Okay. And that goes for your business.
Okay. Well, Coach, we're going to have to wrap this up. We thank you for that summary about what we need to do, how we need to connect the dots, set up our systems, make time for conversations, and analyze the exact steps so that we will also know the cost of running our business. Oh my gosh. And sometimes you said we have to slow down to move faster in the future. With that, we just want to thank you so much, Coach. And we want everybody to know where they can find you. So we are going to go over here and share the link to your YouTube channel. Let me make sure I got this right. And I'm going to put it right here. In fact, I'm going to make a banner. Okay, so that we can show this on the screen. Guys, you can go to Coach Caren's YouTube channel at www.youtube.com at Coach Caren Fern, and that's Caren with a C.
Yeah.
All right. We want you to support our YouTube channel, as well as if you like what we're doing here, we'd love for you to subscribe. Check the box for notifications. We're here Monday through Friday on Biz Chicks talking about how to take the hassle out of your hustle. In addition to that, we want you to know that if you're looking to become a part of Biz Chicks, you can go to bizchicks.net, and there you will find us. Also, we have a website there, bizchicks.net, or you can go to text biz to 33777. We'd love to share what it is you do and how you serve. So remember, it's good to make money in your business.
It is.
So go to the front of your own line. Have a great day, and we look forward to bringing more great information to you. Thank you so much, Caren.
You're welcome.
You just do such a great job. Coach Caren is here for you guys. Don't sleep on it. See you soon.
Okay,
bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in today. We trust you've learned something to help you build a more profitable business and take the hassle out of your hustle. See you next time.